Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, no problem at all.
Perfect. Rob's probably gonna be another minute. His other calls running just a little longer. I
No
apologize.
worries.
Let's see, disconnect this. Sorry, I had to switch machines so I could get my webcam working.
Gotcha.
What's that? Where are you located?
I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh,
We
nice.
we've got we all started in the Northern Virginia, DC area, but we've got offices. We're just kind of scattered now. We got offices in like 6 states, and we've got people in more than I can count. So,
I'm in Tennessee,
which part?
south of Jackson.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm
my
in between Memphis and Nashville. My wife retired during COVID, and we decided to get away from big cities.
yeah, my one of my product leads, he was in the Memphis suburbs, and then they ended up moving to like the Franklin area by Nashville. So, but I used to visit him and think I went through Jackson a little bit. So,
Nice, yeah. Franklin's a nice area. A little pricey, but
yeah, I was just
really
about to
nice.
say like it seems, it's kind of like the way Northern Virginia was before. It's like it's like this is nice, but like you're really paying like top of the market for everything.
Oh,
So,
well, we used to live in Nolensville,
mhm.
and it's become Franklin. I mean, the real estate. I mean, since COVID, housing, real estate values have more than doubled. It's just crazy. It's like, how the heck can housing prices go up 50% in like 3 years? It's like that's just unsustainable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And I mean, the thing is, a lot of people can't move anyway, right? Like it's like, okay, well, hey, my X thousand, hundreds of $1,000 house is now 50% more, but my mortgage rate is too low for me to leave. And, it's just not a lot of fun.
Yeah, with housing price, well, I guess with interest rates staying high, it's caused a pickle all around.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too far into what you do and all that because I want to save some of that for the podcast. But I guess I'll touch on weather since we're getting, or I'm getting sleet right now. Are you guys getting snow out of this
We
front?
had ours, yeah. We had snow on Tuesday. So we had like, 4 to 6 inches on Tuesday, and kids were off school. So, but it's now just cold and clear now. So I guess we sent it all east and south to you.
Nice. Yeah, here, not only do they shut down schools, but they shut down the roads and because our state is not designed for snow.
Yeah, I grew up in the Midwest. I was used to places that, could take care of it. It was being in the DC area was a shock to the system, whereas like the Beltway was like you had a dusting, threat of a dusting, like, shut down the entire government. So
Oh God.
a little bit
Yeah, it
better
was
here, little bit better in Ohio now. So
when I first moved to Nashville in 2001, they were like, "Oh yeah, it never snows here." 3 months later, that's when we got the 12 inches of snow that shut down Nashville, and literally you couldn't go from Lebanon to Dixon. I mean, you're talking like maybe 10 to 20 miles, took 12 hours.
yeah,
I
that's
mean, people
brutal.
were abandoning cars on the interstates on the side. I mean, it was just havoc for weeks. Hey, Rob.
Howdy, howdy. Chris Riddle says hi. That was why I was late because, it always takes a minute for him to talk, and we hadn't caught up in a while. All right. So, Other Michael, nice to meet you. Sorry I'm
Pleasure.
late. Running a little, it's just one of those people like
I know how it goes. We were having a nice chat. It's all good.
So excellent. So he tell you how it goes, how we sort of approach these?
He said
Let's hold on
absolutely
off on
nothing
that.
of substance.
Great. Okay. So what we do is we'll be on for about an hour or so. Like I said, I think we're up to about 100 of these. Nobody has ever bored us that it hasn't taken the hour plus some. So just, no pressure.
Okay.
But
Because there's always a first.
that's right. You don't want to be that first. But no, I'm like, what we'll do is I'll introduce myself. Michael will introduce himself. I'll allow you to introduce yourself because that always works best, I've found.
Mhm.
Even though technically, somebody told me the other day, we were talking about it. It's like, supposedly you're supposed to introduce the person, but I don't know. I get a lot more of their
Hey,
personality letting them do
you
it.
gotta have your own. You gotta have your own style. It doesn't have to be.
And you're just going to say it better. To me, it's like, then it's just me reading it and it just doesn't have the same feel. And it's been amazing how often in the introduction, it like spawns questions and then it's like, boom, we're off and running on the discussion from there. When we show this, when we end up putting this out, it will be a video we do on YouTube. Oh, like hi to everybody that's on the bonus YouTube pre-show stuff. We put it out there and we have a two-parter. So we'll do about a 30-minute, 25, 30 minutes, and then a second part that we're just going to split this. As far as this conversation, we're just going to flow all the way through. Michael will do all the editing magic in the back end to turn that into 2 episodes. It's audio and visual. So we've got YouTube. We also have all the different podcast places that are out there. And then we're really going to just sort of dive into questions here. I want to go real quick on the basics of why. Apologies, as I've got to come back to what we originally talking about.
Yeah, and I'm good for really any direction. Like if you want to do, leadership and culture and management, if you want to do product development, if you want to do automation and workflow, if you want to do, I can strategy and transformation. Like we do all of that stuff. I'm game to chat about whatever direction you want to go with.
Perfect. Because I think we will go with. I think the thing that got me is that your group said that you help mission-driven organizations turn messy, people-dependent processes into systems that run smoothly. And we, between developers and the entrepreneur side of our audience, there's a lot of messy processes and businesses out there. And I think that's a great way for us to talk about, sort of step into some of those things. And our season focuses on building better foundations. And I think that's probably where we're going to go is talk a little bit about how the messy usually comes from not having a good foundation. You start off, you're like, okay, I just got to get it done. And then the next thing you know, it's like you got a big old pile of crap. You're like, that's a lot to get it done that now I got to spend time to get that done as well. So, it's doing it right the first time and where processes have value even from the very start of businesses. So
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So all right, I'm going to do this since everybody's head is centered differently. I'm going to switch around my little background.
You need me to move? I can turn a different way if it's.
Nah, I'm good. I think I don't want to be I don't want to be big guy and I don't want to be little guy.
I did one once where it looked like it might have been like a sumo wrestler. Like my head was. It was like my mom took the picture. It was, it looked like it was just the whole screen. I was like, well, that's attractive. I hope that doesn't. Maybe my kids will go find that one and be like, geez, Dad, have a salad.
Yeah. The only problem I have with that right now is the new Mac OS. It will mess with the camera a little bit. It'll start zooming in on me and stuff. And I'm like, no, you're there for a reason. Don't move. Yep. So we'll see how this goes. But we will dive in. And I think already, other Michael, any questions?
No, but for the auto tracking, I can tell you how to adjust that later.
Okay. Coolness. And we're just going to dive 3, 2, 1. Well, hello and welcome back. We are continuing our season of Building Better Foundations. This is Building Better Developers, the Developreneur podcast. I happen to be Rob Broadhead, one of the founders of said Developreneur and Building Better Developers. Also, the founder of RB Consulting, where we help you assess your business and build a technology roadmap for success. Good thing, bad thing. Huge good thing. I think I've shared a little bit of our like DIY and house issues, and we finally got the house that we wanted to get set up and did a lot of little work on it, got it set up, and it is now like on the market and ready for rentals and stuff like that, which has been a long and torturous path. And I am not the main guy that did most of that. My wife is the DIYer. I am the do-it-yourselfer, like somebody else do it as opposed to me. I am the like, go hire that person. And so she has bared the brunt of that along with me, helping her, and I put that in quotes because I'm not much of a helper in that sense. I'm a little bit more of like the 2-year-old that's there like helping dig while dad's got the backhoe, something like that. The bad thing is that we're getting towards the end of the year, and it is like it's flown by. It's like we are already, as we're recording this, we are into December, and it feels like I've like skipped a half a year. It's like there's a ton of stuff that's gone on, but it's flown by very fast. So I have not been able to enjoy it. Much like I have not been able to enjoy often enough Michael introducing himself. So dive right in and take over.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Malash. I'm one of the co-founders of Building Better Developers, also known as Develpreneur. I'm also the founder and owner of Envision QA, where I work with businesses that are tired of fighting their software. We build and test custom solutions that actually fit the way you work so that you can stop pulling out your hair, putting out fires, and focus on the growth of your business and, let the technology work for you, not against you. Good thing, bad thing. Good thing, as Rob said, we're nearing the end of the year, so I'm getting into the festive Christmas holidays. Wife made me sit down and watch Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 2 yesterday, so we've finally got that off the track. Yes, I see you.
Did you say made you or?
If she had her way, we would watch Die Hard every single month, every single day of the year. It's just her movie. I'm just a little burned out of it.
It is a quintessential Christmas, though. Like you have to watch Elf and you have to watch Die Hard. That's right. It's like...
it is, which is why I told her you cannot watch it till December 1st now.
Yes.
We can watch it in December and we can watch it in January because we do a week in January of Christmas in July. But other than that, I'm getting back around to watching some of the new Hallmark holidays. My mom got me into that years ago, and I'm a sap for that. But I also wanted to get back into some of the traditional Christmas movies, like Miracle on 54th Street. Some of the older ones, I haven't watched those in years. Caught one yesterday. It's like, man, I remember these were feel-good movies. I need to go back and watch these. So looking forward to that. So the bad side is I have not watched any classical Christmas movies in a long time. So I'm going to catch up on them.
And as you may have already picked up, we have a guest today. So this is going to be one of those interview sessions. And I'm going to we will not call you Michael number 2 because that just doesn't seem right. But Michael, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks. Mike Toguchi. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at eResources. We're a digital strategy and transformation company doing everything from MSP work for IT. We do marketing, branding, websites. And on my side, we oversee a platform called Orchestrate that's for mission-driven organizations. We do workflow, processes, anything to try and help automate, save time, let people actually focus on impactful work. That's something that we do at higher ed, nonprofits, associations, any kind of solution in that area. And we also do a great deal of work with disability centers in higher ed as well. And so I'm really excited to be here and chat with you guys and hear a little bit more about this holiday movie situation we've got going on. We would be more on my family would be more on the Die Hard than the Hallmark side, but my wife would probably be fine on both. She would play both sides of the aisle.
Yes, I've spent the last few years slowly like expanding out, and plus there've been some new movies that have come in recent years. I would say Christmas Chronicles 1 and 2 that came out of Netflix is a great one. There's a couple others I'm trying to think of recent years, but I have like my mid-range of like your Elf and stuff like that. The new Grinch, the full like Pixar, whoever did that one, it's phenomenal. Great soundtrack to it. But then I got a few of the old classics, but definitely Die Hard is right up there. I have like my downer ones like Family Stone and some things like that as
I
well.
like Family
But
Stone. I like
Yeah.
Family Stone as well.
it,
I also really like, I'm embarrassed to admit a little, though there are a couple newer, not newer, raunchy ones like The Night Before and Office Christmas Party with Jason Bateman that we like to watch as kind of guilty pleasures. But we bought my father-in-law a Nakatomi Plaza, shirt
Oh,
because we got the die
nice.
we have we're on Team Die Hard for Christmas movies.
those are definitely some of the best. A recommendation if you have never seen, it's a series. I think there's 3 shows of it. Is a Britcom. It's called The Worst Christmas of My Life, or I think it's The Worst
Oh, that's
Christmas Week of My
interesting.
Life. It is very cringy to watch as far as like you're the guy goes through some very tough situations. You're like, oh my gosh, stop. Oh no, it's actually gonna happen. But it's a fun one. And you got to mix it
Yeah,
up
I'll
a little
check that
bit. You
one
got to
out.
have you got to have the like really good ones. You got to have like the tearjerker types, like the Jack Frost or something like that. But then there's it's nice having that mix. And then you got to have like the Charlie Brown Christmas. There's those,
Of
it's like
course. Of
I
course.
could probably recite it from like start to finish, but I got to watch that every year.
So I threw out with my wife Iron Man 3, since Die Hard is officially a Christmas movie. Iron Man
Mhm.
3 is officially a Christmas movie because it does take place during Christmas.
There's a lot of that argument, but I think it's people that are just trying to like detract from the Die Hard is truly a Christmas movie. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
I think that's one of those. It's just it's unquestionable. Even though like I also have a household argument with that on a regular basis of like, no, it is definitely a Christmas movie. And she's like, well, you could just watch it. I don't really care.
I would
And she's
add I would
normally,
add while you were sleeping into that as the like the
Oh,
sappy.
yeah.
'Cause I think that's a good
yeah,
Christmas movie too. So
I think so. I think there's that, and Love Actually is another one of those. I don't know how sappy, but it's like, yeah, there's some of those that I think have like that
and then I kind of
Christmassy kind of
roll
feel.
into When Harry Met Sally for New Year's
Oh,
Oh,
for
yeah.
for because they ended at the New Year's party.
yeah, that is definitely that's like my late Christmas one. Is like
Hmm.
after Christmas, I still want to watch a couple Christmas movies. Like Harry Met Sally is definitely right up there on that one. So, well, now this is probably going to come out. I think this comes out after Christmas. We'll find out. So everybody will be able to like reminisce a little bit. But we're in a jolly mood, which is a good start into. So one of the things that you mentioned is like is mission driven organizations and organizing mission driven organizations to me is we talked in the pregame, the pre-show a little bit about just entrepreneurs and startups in general. I think it becomes hard. There is a mess to fix after you go through the like you're going nuts, you're in survival phase, you're just getting stuff done, and then you're really not defining and refining processes during that time. Your process is just get the thing out the door. And so you have some mess to clean up. But I'd also like to, I think that I've found that a lot of mission driven nonprofits have a very similar situation. It's a little different because I think it's more, there's a little bit of like you're driven to the mission. So that's what you're focused on. It's not really the building a business behind that becomes, I think, part of the problem or part of the challenge with that. And then also that I think there's like there tends to be some turnover and things like that you get as the mission grows and the organizations evolve. So I think I'd like to start out with like if you're in that situation, you got a company where you're like, okay, that's you're speaking my language. I'm in a situation where we've been doing business, we've been doing our mission for a while, and it's a mess. Like, where do I begin? Where would you start with that?
Yeah, that's a tough one, and I agree with you. I think the mission driven groups they end up with a lot of the same challenges that a business or an entrepreneur that's in startup mode. Everyone's going a million miles an hour. You're just trying to survive some days, and so the idea of like SOPs and those kinds of things that's not really what you're focused on. You're focused on the survival part of it. I think if you are a group that has gone through one of those sprint periods and chicken with your head cut off and you're just trying to make it and then you have a second to take a deep breath and realize you've created a giant mess, that's sort of the situation we're talking about. One, you have to kind of start in small digestible bits, right? Like you're not going to be able to wave a magic wand and fix your entire business. You have to kind of set it up as like there's people and culture. There's, what is the mission? Again, when we say mission, I might be talking nonprofit, but we run a business as well. So you're talking about what's the P&L, like what are our goals and things like that. And all of those ultimately, like there's a strategy in what you're trying to achieve and accomplish. And so what we try and do with our groups, whether we're working corporate, nonprofit, or whatever else, is make sure leadership is bought in on some core principles, that they're focused and they're not trying to do too much, that they have folks that are championing their ideas and getting buy-in at all the levels so that the staff understands that they're being accountable and transparent with the communication so that people aren't just like, am I just working to make you more money, or am I working an 80-hour a week just for, where is this all going? So that there is a vision that's been articulated. And the last, then you start getting into the actual technology where you say like, please don't make it about tools. Like, it's not like, oh, well, we can fix it if we have HubSpot or, whatever else it might be. It needs to be like, what are the reasons we're doing this? Like, how are we better serving our audience or serving our customers or whoever the members? It doesn't matter. Every group has got somebody that they're serving. Like, how are we better accomplishing this? And then back to, sort of my original piece, like one of our main areas is people that work are there for a reason, like whether it's to make money or it's to, again, serve a particular mission, like they want to help a certain kind of people, whatever that might be. They want to spend their time doing that and on the things that are skillful for that. They don't want to spend their times copying and pasting from spreadsheets, tracking down things in emails, logging into 75 tools during the day. And so, part I think for groups like ours is helping folks figure out like it's not about these, having more tools. It's about finding ways to find efficiencies, to automate things, to get people. And that's how they start understanding the ROI, both from a leadership level, saying like this investment is good and this thought process is good because we're going to be saving people's time and making them more productive. So from that corporate standpoint, that's what we would be looking at it in that area. Like, your efficiency, this is dollars that you would be wasting if people are just like, again, in a spreadsheet or doing some sort of manual tasks that aren't helpful.
I think that's awesome because that was actually like one of the follow-up questions is that a lot of times I think you talk to people and they're like, oh, like, SOPs and all that kind of stuff. That sounds like big business thing. That sounds like something that, we're not there yet. We're a small business or we're a little, we're a little city-based organization or we're a little nonprofit or something like that. We can't do that. But I think it is. I think that's where you go is like there is an ROI on those things, and it is not. You're not just doing it just to do it. That there is an investment on that. And so, how do you take it a step further? Like, how do you get that buy-in? Particularly, you can sell it to the executives or the people running the company as far as like, yeah, this is like bottom line. This is what's going to happen. But the people that are actually have to that you really have to, I think normally you have to go to get the information to like, how do I build out an SOP? Well, I need to know how the frontline workers are working and balancing that with them going like, okay, are you going to automate me out of a job or something, especially in the world of AI and stuff like that. I think there's just like regular fear of such thing.
Well, I mean, I think the first piece that you mentioned is an important point, and it resonates for me because we went through it. We were a small business. We were in startup mode for many years, and we created a lot of technical debt for ourselves and a lot of process debt where we were just, oh, well, technology's going this direction. And we were zigging and zagging and zooming around, and you suddenly find yourself with like, how do I scale this operation? Like if your leadership is like, well, man, my family would really like it if I was actually at home or not working at 10 p.m. was like, part of that is you've created this and where everybody has to work this way. You're single threaded through things. You haven't created good processes. You haven't found a way to onboard people. And so that really rings true to me that it's important. The group shouldn't think, well, that's for Accenture and Google to do those sorts of things. Like, I don't care if you're a small mom and pop or you're a 2 or 3 person, kind of small group doing guerrilla warfare. Like you still need to have those things in place if you ever want to escape the cycle that you're in. So I do think of it in that area where it's important to emphasize it doesn't matter the size. in terms of the second question you asked, I think that's really one of the most important ones. And that's where it is a piece where you think of it sort of in story brand mode of like, who's the hero in the story, right? Like if you're leadership, if you're the CEO, you're C-suite and you're talking to somebody, like it's not about you. You've got these workers that are executing, they're in the tactical day to day, they're, working their behinds off for you. And so, but they want to understand again, what's the vision for this? Where is this going? Like, what's the medium, longer term plan? How do I fit into that? Like, I have so much stuff on my plate and you're asking me to, sort of transform on the fly or change concurrently. Like, how am I supposed to fit all of that in? And, what assurances are you giving me that I'm not just going to be like, I'm not creating a process document so you can fire me and hire someone cheaper or not replace me. And that's where that, I mean, again, communication, like the vision, articulation, transparency, accountability, all those things, like they sound buzzy, but you bundle them up, like that is good leadership. Like that is how you create a culture. And like there may be some people that you have to replace or that don't come back, but ultimately, like those people, I like to say you win with people. That's an old like Woody Hayes quote. He's an old football coach. You win with people, meaning like if you have a bad process, you can fix it. If you have a bad tool, you can replace it. If you have bad people and they don't believe in you, you're dead. You're DOA, right? Like your business is not going anywhere. And so we really spend a lot of time trying to work with leadership to get that buy-in because otherwise they may be thinking, well, I can add this tool and that's sort of the end all be all of it. And maybe I'll save this money and that's my success metrics. Your staff is not going to buy into that. That's your
Yeah.
initiative is not going to succeed that way. So
So I kind of got a twofold question on this.
yeah.
So with that, how would you approach like new startups or people starting new missions and getting things going to essentially set themselves up for success, not failure? But then flip that around and how would you go about helping those organizations, or what suggestions would you give to those organizations that are already into this mess, didn't
Like,
plan ahead of time? How would they kind of walk their way back to kind of maybe at the beginning or somewhere
yeah,
in between?
how do you reverse engineer the
Yeah.
I think the first piece is good because I mean you mentioned the road mapping and I think strategic planning and things like that. There's a part of this where take a company that's in startup mode or take a nonprofit. Like here's two scenarios that are very similar that are likely to happen. Uh, you get a new client as a startup and your processes and what you're doing start revolving around the money you're bringing in as opposed to sticking to what you're best at and creating a process, pushing your process on how you do business. You let the client kind of dictate how your small organ because when you're small, it has such an outsized undue influence on, the people that you're working with. And the same thing happens at nonprofits. Oh, we got a grant from this foundation. And so suddenly, instead of your mission being one thing, it's like, well, we've got to fulfill the terms of this grant and we've got to spend a lot of focus here. So in both cases, whether corporate or nonprofit, the business is morphing based on external variables as opposed to like staying a course where you say like this is who we are, this is how we're going to get there. There may be some like rough choppy waters, but we will need to develop processes and ways of doing things that fit that, not letting the external variables affect what we're doing. In terms of fixing that once it happens, yeah, I mean I think that's why those exercises where you kind of take that deep breath and say we can't wave the wand at it, and we can't, you're always going to be stuck, especially from like the entrepreneur standpoint. Like you probably have contracts that you have to fulfill and you're trying to say like, well, how do I keep the money coming in the door while also, concurrently making this change that shifts our processes. And that's where it's going to have to be, you know, you can't do it all at once. You have to set up a timeline.
Mm.
You have to give people room to fit this into their schedule. Like you can't say, well, I expect you to do the 80 hours plus implement this. Like, and that's we talk for our AI clients that we're doing AI work. Well, like you have to have room to experiment. You have to have room to fail because this all isn't going to go perfectly. But with these transformations or with places where we're implementing new processes or workflows, we're trying to do them in digestible bits where you can then get on the ground feedback. Like, is this working? Are you saving time? And that it goes back to the original question where people start to see the fruits of it, like, oh, this is great. I'm not, re-entering this from one place to another. Suddenly getting that 30 minutes back in the day allows me to do something else. And so, yeah, I think it's never easy once you've already created some of the mess. But I mean, that's all of us, right? Like we've all in one form or another, we've got some things that we would like to clean up. And so,
Yeah, it's interesting, especially when you're talking about the grants and that for like the startups and the new businesses. So often, and I've noticed this too. You're working, you find someone comes to you as a customer, and it may not quite fit, but you can help solve their problem. And being a startup, you need money, so typically you don't say no a lot. And you could end up in situations where you are off mission, you're serving multiple masters, and you just kind of lose focus on where you're going, and it just becomes a disaster. The second part I thought was interesting. So, rolling things back, pulling it back, working through the problems, it's interesting there, especially with the AI component. How would you uh, how would you talk to like the business owners in encouraging as their leaders, working with their people to encourage them for the fast to fail? So I've worked with a lot of different groups, and there's a huge shift in different markets: shift left, shift right, fast to fail, more time building the processes. There is a balance, and it's good to get, fast to fail, but how would you define that for organizations so that they're not essentially rushing their people to fail too fast, like not thinking through the problem, but still encouraging them enough that it's okay to try things out without consequences?
yeah, I mean, that's some of the big challenge where we're talking to folks and we're like, okay, you want to have some sort of digital transformation. Again, whether you could be corporate, nonprofit, higher ed, doesn't really matter. And like, you want to utilize technology as a force multiplier to create this highly efficient set of processes that empower your staff to, or your employees to effectively do their jobs. And so, yeah, we try and take the idea of failure less as about like, we don't want to do fast failing, but we want, sort of an ongoing assessment, audit, design and implement something, automate it, and then just be doing analysis, sort of constant feedback and explaining, hey, this is what's on the ground, kind of what's working, what isn't. And so we're not looking for the people to like rush into failure. Because it rarely ever has long-term benefits. The metrics we use for evaluating success of projects like that, it never seems to go well. We're looking more for a measured approach, but a constant approach. It's not 10 years ago digital strategy where like you create the roadmap, like you've implemented and then you're reevaluating it in 18 to 24 months or something. This is as soon as the ink is dry, you're really kind of thinking about like the next phase of it. And so we take that approach with the micro parts of it too, where it's like, okay, well, hey, if you're trying to create an agentic chatbot to provide support for so and so, like it's not something that we want to like rush into production and then say it's successful or failure in a short period of time. We want to be constantly refining it or determining whether or not it's serving the mission that we need it to.
Are you seeing then, like, I guess continuing down this path a little bit, are you seeing that, is that what you're seeing sort of across the board with businesses, is that they are starting to embrace this instead of this like, 12, 18 month, and even, I guess even 5 or 6 years ago, it was still 6 to 12 month cycles of like, you go through it, you build it, then you assess it versus what I'm seeing, and I'm wondering if this is, you're seeing this as well, where it's like it's starting to become almost very quick, like days and weeks at most, to be able to put something together, so that now things that that in the past maybe took a little bit longer. Like, A/B testing has always been existed to some level, but now it feels like it's A B C D A through Z almost, because you can so quickly iterate on these things, get some feedback, and then, like you said, I think it's like instead of fast fail, it's more like a fast assess.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the modernization is essentially a continuous process now, and that good companies are balancing their agility and innovation or disruption, depending on how you look at it, with the steadiness of the over. That's where you have to combine or thread together the, like, here's our steady leadership and our vision and mission, and this is what we're going to stick to with this hyperness of the technological change.
Yeah, I think that's the danger, is now that it's like you have the ability, and this is the entrepreneur, or the visionary entrepreneur dilemma, is that I have all these ideas and all these great places and all these things I can do. I actually just got off a call before this with somebody that is so much that is the visionary, where you can sit down and talk to them about a product, and the next thing you know, you've developed and theoretically developed a dozen different products. And now that you can, with the like vibe coding and no code and some of these other things that are out there, they're promising that to some level. So how do you, how do you, when working with like founders in that, like, how do you rein them in a little bit to bring them into that original why, vision and mission?
Not easily. That is that. It is one of the reasons why, when I talk about, we work across many verticals, leadership at higher ed or mission driven nonprofits and associations, they tend to be a little bit more conservative or reserved, and so we work more with them from the leadership standpoint of the communication and the helping to understand. On the corporate and entrepreneurial side, yeah, it's exactly what you said. There is this danger now where it's like, it used to be, well, the executives, they've got a million ideas and like they're going to throw them at the staff. Now, like, there's actually a reasonable way for them to start having those things appear. And so you really have to, start getting, I think, again, it's a roadmap, it's a P&L with a plan and a vision, where you start saying, like, you can do this, but like, this is the wild, wild west and unknown in some places. And like, if you drift too far out, like you could lose a great deal of what you're doing. And so we try and work on those benchmarks. And again, the idea of these small digestible things where there's constant evaluation to ensure that people don't go so far off track or splinter into like, oh, well, hey, we had one product and suddenly there's four. Because that you can do that. You can easily say, like, well, I've got this is now, well, we're going to do this in this niche. And you start to tie that to the rest of this conversation, where like the staff is like, well, no, wait, are we doing this or are we doing this? Or wait, you want me to do all of these things at once? And like, they start to lose faith in what's going on. And so all you can do from a leadership standpoint with those C-level folks that have the brain going a million miles an hour is try and keep it steady. So,
and that is where we're going to pause episode 1, part 1, Die Hard 1 of this interview. This has been a great one. This has been a fun one. We had a really good time diving into very non-technical stuff beforehand. So that's awesome. But come on back for part 2, because it really does continue to have a really good discussion. There's a lot of valuable stuff here. Not a ton of specifics necessarily, as much as I think these are the things that you should be thinking of, particularly when you're getting into the end of the year and the beginning of a new year, as we're getting into now when this is coming out, is like, how do I move forward this year? It's, hopefully you've got a plan at this point, and these are some of the things that you want to knock down. These are some of the things you want to accomplish, but maybe there's some things that in this interview, come to light that you're like, oh, I should probably think about that as well. So do so, and then come back for the next episode as well, because there's probably going to be more. Till then, go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time.